My name's James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about Airbnb. There's some new updates on Airbnb and it's going to impact landlords quite a lot. Those that already rent on Airbnb, or maybe you've considered renting on Airbnb. You want to know what's going on, make sure you watch this video to the end. Now, if you're new around here and you haven't done already, do subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We're on the way to 36,000 subscribers now. We've had 3,000 subscribers just in January, so thanks to everyone that subscribes. And let's get some more views on this video. How can we do that, you ask? Well, smash like, tick or like, do something to that like button. That massively helps with the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate it, everyone that does that, and that will push the video out to more people. So, what's going on? Airbnb is becoming a bit of a target now. And governments all around the world are looking at making it more difficult for Airbnb. In Barcelona, it's going to be illegal to run Airbnb. I think it's got a year or so for people to do all the bookings that they've already got, but eventually you won't have that. And that's because that city doesn't have enough accommodation for its own residents. People struggle to get rental properties. That's also happened in London. So in London, if you have a serviced accommodation business, you're only meant to rent it out for 90 days a year. Now, people do get around those rules. They're not meant to, but they do, as people do with lots of things. But essentially, you could get fined by the government if you rent it out longer. So it's something that you shouldn't be looking at doing. And what's now happening is the government are saying they want to make a register of everyone that is renting their property on a short let basis. Now, we're not just saying Airbnb here. It's just easy to pick on Airbnb because they are clearly the market leader. But they want to know if you rent it out on cottages.com, on Airbnb, on booking.com, and all these other places, you're going to have to register your property. Because right now, the government and the councils don't have a database and they're not really certain how many people are running serviced accommodation businesses, short-term lets, and how many people are just renting their room out a couple of times a year just to make some extra cash. Now, the government want that information because what ultimately I see will happen is that you will get certain areas that will say, wow, we've got 10% of our rental accommodation is now rented as short-term lets. We don't have enough social housing. We don't have enough properties for normal tenants. And I think they will make it harder and harder and harder to run a serviced accommodation business. I can imagine in places like Hastings, where I have properties that I rent out. I don't do it as serviced accommodation, but I do have properties that I rent out in Hastings. There isn't a lot of properties there. Rents are going up quite fast there, as they do in any place. But if one of my properties becomes vacant, it has hundreds of opportunities for me to get a tenant within hours. And that especially is like that on the house that I own in Hastings. I've got a 3-bedroom house there, and that property is in massive demand. So if suddenly Hastings Council saw there's 100 3-bedroom houses in Hastings that are rented out as short-term accommodation, they would make it very difficult for those people in order to claim that back as a normal rental property. That's what I see is happening. You also look to Europe, and in Europe, they're putting VAT onto short-term rental stays as well. And one reason some people run properties as a short-term rental is because of a tax called Section 24. So if you're a landlord, this is a tax that's been around for a few years. It's been increasingly getting worse as time has gone on, but it is a tax that's been there a little while. And so what has happened is that landlords now get taxed on the gross rent on the property. So if you get £1,000 rent, you will get taxed on that. Now, you can have some deductions. There is a little bit of mortgage relief in there, but not much, not like it used to be, and not like most businesses. However, if you run a property as a serviced accommodation, as an Airbnb, you don't come under that bracket. Section 24 doesn't count for you. Now, the government's going to look at bringing Section 24 into short-term lets as well, and they're going to look at doing VAT, and they're going to look at doing a registry, and it's going to get more difficult. Now, that doesn't mean that short-term accommodation, serviced accommodation, isn't a good strategy, because what this will do is push out some people out the market, and then the ones that stick with it, they will make more money. The price of an Airbnb will go up significantly. Hotels will also go up significantly because they will have less competition. There'll be more people staying in hotels. And so costs of short-term accommodation, hotels, Airbnbs, booking.coms will rise because of this stuff. So I just thought this is interesting to know, because let's just say you want to rent a property. You want to get a 3-bedroom house in Hastings or in Doncaster or in London or in Dorking, but there's not enough of them. This being pushed through will reclaim some of those properties. It will make some people just say, it's not worth it. I'm just going to get an easy monthly fee and I'm going to run it as a buy-to-let. It's not worth extra tax, extra legislation. Let's just run it a little bit simpler. And that will bring some stock back to the market, which I think is a good thing. But I think Airbnb could be the next target for the government. They are looking right now, who can we tax that doesn't upset lots of people? They have hit the landlords hard already. Within the first 6 months of being in power, we've got massive increases on stamp duty for landlords. We've got extra legislation coming through for EPCs. We've got other things that are coming through as well. What's next? I think Airbnbs could be one that they're going to look at over legislating, and that could get some extra revenue. And I don't think the general public would have much backlash at all against that. So I think it's interesting to see what happens on this front. If you're interested in running an Airbnb, does it still work? Absolutely. Is it going to be a little bit harder? 100%. And so I think it's important to know what you're getting into, because I know a lot of people make out that serviced accommodation is a get-rich-quick strategy. I have a serviced accommodation and I make okay money. And this isn't like something that I would want 10, 20, 30, 40 of. But you can run a few of these quite well and make a good income from it. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think this is fair? Do you think Airbnb should be a little bit more regulated, a little bit more restricted? Or do you think this is the government putting more legislation and making things harder for people just to make money again? Let me know your thoughts, questions, observations in the comments below. And if you haven't joined the fundamentals of property investing, I'm going to put a link to that below. That's only £25. More than 1,000 people took that in 2024. It's a one-time payment. So go and check out the description. Grab a copy of that today. That will set you up on your investment journey. Everyone else is charging thousands of pounds for courses. We're charging 25 quid for the same information, so do check that out. And do like the video, do subscribe, check out all the other content as well on the channel, including this video right here.